Hi, this is Ken Stewart from Germantown Hills, Illinois. Thanks for listening to the Crown Refs podcast. Serve the game.
All right, coming at you virtually live from the University of Illinois. I am here with five-year official Ken Stewart. Ken, how are you?
I'm doing great, Paul. How about you?
Doing really well. Just want to give you a quick shout. The IPR service is a report where we break down your game, but attached in that IPR is usually about a 13-minute instructional mechanics video that we customize for each official. And I get some great feedback on it. However, Ken texted me the other day with a video to my video, a 10-minute kind of response video. So I want to give you a shout out for that. Thank you so much for doing that.
That was a lot of fun. And as I've mentioned to you a couple times now, that was one of the premier values of the IPR service. And I thank you for it. And that was my way of kind of giving back to you.
Just for the audience to hear, could you just kind of give us a brief kind of synopsis on your IPR experience, why you wanted to get one, and then, after downloading the report, how you feel?
Yeah, man, I've been following Crown Refs podcast for a while now. I've got a few to catch up to get all the way up to your 150 plus that you've got going. But I've got a solid number of them under my belt. And when you start to get into the IPR service, it really caught my ear. Because of the detailed analysis of the specific officials' work. And my problem was not a lot of my films, not a lot of my games had been filmed. Well, this year with COVID, I got a few opportunities that I hadn't had prior. And of course, almost all the Illinois games were recorded and put out online for parents and families to watch from home. So I had access to video, and I'm an executive coach, so I believe in coaching. And I thought, man, now's as good a time as any to get my initial feedback from Paul on how I'm doing in my games. I did a championship girls game here in our local conference. Shot that off to you for a quick look. I gave you another game for some feedback as well, and you came back with a ton of. I felt really good about both games, but the nuance and the instruction that you gave directly for helping me improve my game was spot on. And I just really appreciate it. Both the narrative form and, of course, like we've already mentioned, the video feedback was great because it not only introduced us to one another and I got to hear your voice and hear you address me directly, but you talked specifically about points in my game and were able to give visuals on how to do certain signals. And I just really appreciate it, Paul.
Great. Well, it's great to connect with you here. It's funny. I was telling my wife on the ride up, I'm about to meet with a guy named Ken Stewart. And he basically knows the Crown Refs content more than me. I mean, it's nice to kind of, I do so many episodes and I'm always looking to do that next one. I kind of lose track of the previous stuff. So it was really nice connecting with you the first time we spoke over the phone. And you were just dropping knowledge about the podcast to me. And I was like, wow, that's a really good point. You just had a lot of good summaries of it. So thank you for staying so locked in and in tune with what we have going on.
You bet. You've come a long way since those early, what'd you call the first round?
The first round of episodes that I did.
Yeah, it was, you had a name for those first few episodes.
The basketball shop, are you thinking?
Yeah, the basketball shop. Right. Come a long way since then, man.
That was our debut. So thanks for being a day one supporter. And
who was your partner in that?
That was Mr. Pink.
Yes. I wanted to call him Pinky. Mr. Pink is better.
Shout out to Mr. Pink. So looking forward to breaking down some of your plays. Let's pull up the film. Wow. Look at this. So professional. Got Jeff King and Ryan Lindley. Nice job, fellas.
They actually did a pretty good job.
Absolutely.
They even gave the officials some kudos through the game.
As they should.
That's right.
They give a lot of the other stuff, so not these specific gentlemen. All righty. If you have any plays that you want to go to, that's fine. I don't know if we'll get to every single one of them, so maybe just the most important ones as I look through your report here.
Yeah, I'll follow your lead.
Touch notice a file type and number of spots and written in the book on this place and like access of signals. Let's improve your spot. We'll just look at your first call.
By the way, for future reference in IPR,
Yeah.
the second game was a lot easier for me to find the space on the video that you were referring to, because you did it by timestamp on the video rather than clock in the game.
Yeah, I'm trying to think why I did that when there's a visible clock on the game. Normally when there's a visible clock, I just use that clock. But,
right, but it was easier for me when you use the video timestamp, because I could scroll right to that timestamp.
Oh yeah, you're right. It is a little more specific.
By the way, I'm inspired by you and many others that fitness is going to be my next movement, because I detest my posture on video, making those stripes stretch.
Well, I'm here to. I have a YouTube channel too, just for fitness. So I haven't shared that yet, but I'll send it over to you.
Great.
And like I told you before, I love the way you speak. So the more you communicate on this podcast, and I could kind of, obviously I'm going to be giving you as many teaching points as possible, but I love your voice. So speak away. Right.
Great.
All right, let's look at your first play. I always like to see the first call of the game. Sets a good tone. You have, you're in lead, post pass. Okay, now what did you said, now you immediately signal push on the spot. So did you have like a low push to the back, or was the block up top clean?
I didn't see anything on the block up top, but that left-hand push on the hip was strong.
And after reviewing it, you like it?
I do, yes.
𝘰𝘯𝘕 with it on the wing. Potter's offense, again, Jeff, early going right, very patient, with nothing wrong with that.
There's one of those subtles underneath, and they try to get away with it, but it seemed pretty clear right there.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely see that left hand. I would always like to take into the consideration the entire play too. If that's incidental or maybe slightly marginal, and then we have a clean block up top, I always like to think about possibly playing on those plays. But so just something to think about. And have you made those adjustments to your push signal? Have you practiced?
Yes. Up top, shoulder height.
I want you to close your fingers.
Okay.
Yeah. And you're looking a little narrow, so maybe just a little bit more wider, and it's a full extension out. That looks much better, what you just did. Yep.
Got it.
Don't hold it though at the end. Not
right.
Not that you would, just a quick push and down.
The temptation for me is, especially on a low push like that, is to actually do a low hand check signal almost, or a one-hand push, even while I've got my post up. And I just got to remember that all pushes are this.
Yeah. And let's avoid using two hands at once. So if you're stopping the clock with your fist, we shouldn't be signaling with the left hand. Drop it,
right,
and then signal. And let's talk about that hand check. Here's a little hand check hack, because that's one of the softer calls I feel that we have. Sometimes when I go to the table to present a hand check, you present it low and you're just like, this doesn't even feel like a foul. So here's what I'd like you to do. A hand check is simply a one-handed push. It's the same exact motion as the one-handed push. It starts from the same position and it finishes at the same position. Only difference is with the offhand, now we're just gripping the top of it and popping it out. Pop it out. Almost like in the NFL. I don't know which call it is, but you see the NFL guy, maybe it's the illegal use of the hands, and they pop it out. Looks similar to a hand check, but it looks much stronger and it's much higher up.
Right.
So try to make that a little adjustment to your hand check. 5:30. I mean, we don't have to go there, but it talks about running to rotate. I'm not a big believer in ever having to run to rotate. I just feel like we're just rushing. We're unnecessarily speeding ourselves. Not only ourselves, the crew as well, because sometimes when we run over, the center or trail might not immediately pick up that rotation, and it's not that bad for the trail because they can just stay locked in a dependable position. But when the center doesn't pick that up, or the new center doesn't pick that up, now we have two trails.
Right.
All right, so pretty much a quiet first three quarters. Didn't have a ton of notes, and it starts to pick up in the fourth quarter. And give you a little preview. This game went to overtime. So you come out here in the fourth, I believe, with the whistle 15 seconds in at 7:45. Thought it was a good way to start the fourth. Take me through this play.
Lady Potters, it's become a regular thing.
It's not Redbird Arena, folks, but it's great to be.
Trying to remind myself what this play is, and
On a beautiful March afternoon, we're going to get to the free throw line again.
Going back to the
drive down. I'm on C right there. Drive down toward the baseline. Pretty simple shot coming from the side. Hit on the arm.
It's not Redbird Arena, folks, but it's great to be with.
And it looked like the defender had lost her legal guarding position here as she's getting beat. So then, you know, sometimes these plays are deceiving because her body is straight up, but it's from behind, and she's not legal at that time of the contact, or she initiates the illegal contact, and you can clearly see her arms aren't vertical. You know, I know your association is telling you to do this, but we don't need to signal a hit on the spot and then 2 seconds later go signal a hit. It's just excess, and it's, you know, for me, it's too much. Now, are you being very clear in communicating what happened? Yes. You know, is that technically what we're supposed to do? Yes. You can keep doing it if you want. I just find it to be unnecessary.
And you know, I don't mean in any way to push back or to even respectfully disagree, just a different point. One of the things that I've found difficult, and especially as I'm learning the game, is if I'm focusing on my PCA and I hear a whistle and I don't know what that whistle was for. If I have to wait until they go and report the full extent of the situation to the table, we've lost 15 seconds. So if we get a full report right at the spot, okay, I know we're shooting, or I know we're taking it out of bounds, I know we're rotating this way, I know who called it. And so as a young official, I kind of like that full reporting at the spot, but I certainly hear what you're saying, Paul.
No doubt. No, and I'm glad you brought that up, because I think that's a good conversation to have, to kind of hear two sides of or two perspectives. I know a lot of officials hear this a lot from their local boards and stuff like that. So 707, you had a good partner tip. I'm a big proponent of giving our partners a good pass when transferring the ball. Makes us look more in sync. You know, we don't do it enough. A lot of times we just disregard the ball, or we slap it away, and now our partner's got to go pick it up. It just shows great unity to me. You know, we're a team, and it helps make us look cohesive.
Katie get her 25. If we stop everybody else, we could win the ball game.
Yeah, I think the one you're referring to, I did a slow roll, and it was, I mean, it got the job done, but it wasn't authoritative in any way, shape, or form.
Maggie Hobson finally open.
All right, let's look at your illegal screen. I know one thing we definitely wanted to clean up was the direction of where you point, especially on team control fouls, because you're punching towards the player.
Yeah. And I, as I mentioned in my video response to you, I just pulled that straight off of the signals sheet in the back of our rules book, and that's just without major context. We don't talk about that a whole lot in exactly how that signal should be performed. So I appreciate the instruction on that and work on taking it to the side.
You know, it's tough when you're trying to duplicate or replicate still images.
Right.
Like maybe we should do a official video mechanics training instead of just showing one image of where the signal ends. Let's show us how we get to that point.
Right. I mean, that's not a bad idea. I mean, how long would that video be? 2 minutes?
Hey, good news. Crown Refs video tutorial series coming soon. I'm serious too.
Shameless plug.
We talked about 3 players.
Bring them on.
All right, so you have a legal screen coming up. I see that A2 is still moving and does create contact. In my opinion, this was incidental.
By the way, look at the service hold of that ball right there.
Much better. Love it. Looks very professional. So tell me about this screen after watching it. Did you like it at the time? Okay. I mean, listen.
I definitely liked it at the time, and I certainly don't want to sound like I'm defending my call, Paul. I really want to hear you. number 5 for Washington is just a really, really tough defender. And she's the one that had to fight through that screen and still almost got to a blocking position. And had that illegal screen not happen, who knows what could have been there. And I just saw that illegal screen contributed to her ability to make that 3.
I mean, you could definitely make the case the screener is not legal. There's definitely contact. You know, my thing is, I just think she's so far away from the play. I don't know if she was ever going to be a factor in contesting that.
Yeah.
And you know, she's got to get through 2 screens too.
Right. But if, you know, again, not trying to be argumentative at all.
No, and I don't want you to think I'm telling you the call is incorrect. I'm trying to just further analyze it as much as we can.
If you look at number 5 prior to contact, she is running toward that shooter. She's coming up the lane right now. She starts her run toward that top of the key right now, and 4 gets in her way to get there.
Yeah.
And had 4 not moved over and gotten into her way, and she ended up right there on the shot.
So take
really
me, okay. Take me through what your new and improved signal would be on this play if you have it again.
So if I'm thinking properly, my fist is going to go up with my right hand, and I'm going to come to the side and both do a directional point as well as a team control foul.
So you're going to do a point and then a punch?
No, you can't see my hand over there, but I'm just doing the fist.
Okay.
So fist to the opposite direction, and then if necessary, I would also come down and do a block signal.
You don't need to show that on the spot, though.
Right, we do that at the table.
Yeah, and if you want to keep that wave off, that's fine. Just add it in between your fist and your punch. So it's boop, wave into the punch. That's a really natural motion. I don't do the punch anymore, but when that was really natural when you just go fist to wave off and it leads right into the punch. It's a nice little sequence of signals. And then at the table, if you wanted to show the block, white 25, block, team control foul.
Right.
You don't have to show the block. Illegal screens usually are blocks or pushes. So, you know, it's always good.
I like that additional element. It's just a matter of being efficient with it at the table, so I'm not spending too much time.
Yeah.
Number 31, White's going to be playing some decent college ball somewhere.
What's decent?
I wouldn't be surprised. Oh no, she's going to. I think she's committed to Harvard.
Okay. I think I remember her getting some buckets.
I mean, she committed it at sophomore year to play basketball at Harvard.
Nice. Smart move.
Yeah, right. She started. Morton. They've mentioned this in the dialogue, but they've played in the last game of the season 5 of the last 8 years, and won the majority of them. They're just a powerhouse in this class and in this region. And she's been a starter since her freshman year, and she's only a junior. She's a good ball player.
Take me through this play at 4:47. Your partner has a travel, but you also have a whistle. I'm not sure why. So did you have a foul in this play? Just curious why you had a whistle.
No, completely agreed with his. And I'm looking up through my PCA, and she's right at the edge, and I just saw that foot drag. And I think this has been a little while, so I may be projecting a bit. But I think it was just an echo whistle. Yeah, I saw it. I heard your whistle, and just mine came right after you. I pointed directly to him, his call, take it. But I did not see a foul there, no.
Okay, but, as far as echo whistles, well, what are echo whistles? Does that just mean you blow the whistle just because you hear your partner blow the whistle?
No, well, yeah, it was, I'm not trying to coin a term. It just,
it's a real thing.
It was a reaction, and I'll call it a relative rookie reaction, that I had the whistle on the tip of my tongue. I saw it, and then as soon as he did it, I did it, and it ended up being a pure echo.
Now, if he doesn't call this, I don't think that's something that you should come get from lead.
Yeah, I'm really trying, and
Okay.
this was an example of where I failed, especially travel calls.
No failure, just learning.
Yeah, I'm if I happen to catch a travel that's outside of my PCA, I am not blowing my whistle. Didn't do it all year. It caught me right there, and my excuse would be that it was right at the edge of my PCA, but even so, I shouldn't have gone for it.
Wilson, pull up from the free throw line is blocked.
That's
Yeah,
been
just
something I worked on pretty intentionally this year.
Okay. So just having the crew awareness to know whose primary it is, own your primary, and don't come out of it unless you're 1,000.
Yep. Well, even if I'm 1,000 on a travel, I'm not blowing.
Okay, let me specify. Only come out for a whale. Don't come out for a sardine.
Right. A crew saver.
Good.
Her team down 4. There's Carly Vaughn, just recently made a 3, the natural lefty. Raquel Frakes will spin 360 drive, get it to Kaylin Cowley, open from 17 feet, that's good. Kaylin Cowley, a big basket.
I really enjoyed working this game with these two partners too. I'd work with them any day. They're great officials.
Nothing better than that. Working with the crew you love.
Potter ball.
Out of bounds. Out of bounds mechanic.
That's good. Kaylin Cowley, a big basket.
Did you have an out of bounds mechanic here?
I am the C on this.
And Carly Vaughn will pull the trigger the other way. That one is too strong and hits the basket support strap. And
Okay, so we talked about that diagonal point, right?
Yep.
And I saw your new and improved version on the video. Looks much better. Let me see it. Excellent. That's 1,000 times better.
Or a twist.
Sometimes we get caught up not pointing with the outside arm. So let's say on this play, your right hand would be your outside arm, right? Sometimes we may stop the clock with our left and then we point with our left. So to avoid pointing across your body, simply turn, open up those hips and shoulders while still looking backwards at the play. But it at least allows you to kind of square up to the new direction that you're going.
And that's where your practice tip is going to help so much. I loved in the IPR where you said, do 15 of these and then do 15 of these. And then, because, I'm right-handed, so I'm going to do a lot of my strong arm, my primary strength arm, and just practicing with the off arm and then occasionally doing a turn and getting that muscle memory built up so that I can recall it in game. That's only going to happen if I practice off court.
Yeah, and working on your mechanics can be just like doing an exercise program. You're up there, 4 sets of holds with the right, 10 reps each, right? Where you just report the number. 22, hold. And you go to the other side. 22, hold.
And I mentioned to you that fitness was going to be one of my focuses this coming season, and as well as in my professional life, I'm really trying to hone in on rituals. 4 primary rituals in my day, and
what are the 4 primary rituals?
My morning ritual, which is what happens when I wake up, my beginning of workday ritual, my end of workday ritual, and then my end of day ritual. And one of those I could insert my just a small series of signals training.
Gotcha. Love it.
Because I do want to do that more. It's just you just don't think about it, right? Yeah. So that's the goal of my rituals.
That's the thing with having strong mechanics. No one is just born with them. It's all an acquired skill. So that's also another real good benefit and telling sign of an official who's talented and works hard, simply by looking at their mechanics. If it's strong and sharp, it also tells you that they're practicing and they put in the work.
Yeah, and I've had some great mentors, you being one of them, but another one in our association that has been a real strong mentor of mine, whether he knows it or not. And that's one of the first things he taught me was the power of getting in front of a mirror and practicing.
Absolutely. You had a holding foul, 34 seconds. Let's take a look at this play. Tight game. We got 40-39, 1-point game, 39 seconds left. Inbound here. Team A's bringing it up. Get a little play-by-play action here. Like that, Ken. All right, good call in the backcourt.
but the foul
So
is
you're pointing
called,
to the who the shooter is, right? That's good.
against Georgia Duncan.
Yeah, and Bob knew they were gonna. That's
Now that hold we can now raise up a little bit, right?
Right. Be a little more firm on the hold and also bring my 1-and-1 in front.
Make sure it's fully in front because I'm still seeing a little sideways action.
Okay.
Fully in front, right?
Okay.
Good.
When I do that, I want to raise my pinky. That's not good.
Yeah, but then if you raise your pinky, I'm gonna come through the screen and chop it off.
Right.
That's my favorite line with referees who have the pinkies out. I always say I'm gonna chop it off.
By the way, something happens right here that
I didn't know.
And again, this is one of these
I don't think you made a comment on it, but this is where the game callers, the play-by-play guys, actually gave our crew kudos on this free throw that's coming up.
Get the 10-second call. There's enough time.
We got a violation that happens that is a very unusual violation.
Right away. But again, the question is Georgia Duncan actually trying to foul, or is she just trying to go for the ball and the official?
I wasn't sure there. She was actually trying to foul.
Yeah. I think that honestly may have been a situation where she was just trying to go for the ball and the official quickly tooted the whistle.
As agreed.
That would be me.
Good thing it's not up to them.
To extend the game. Intentional fouls, so.
Everybody loves opinions.
Right?
I'm not a fan of opinions, I realized.
Couldn't tell you what level of the state series we were at, but
That's why I try not to. I mean, I obviously have some thoughts with Crown reps, but besides that, I don't have a lot of loud opinions. I'm very quiet about it.
Yeah, I mean, she's
People
6
run
out of
into a
10
lot of
tonight,
issues with
which
voicing their
honestly she
opinion.
would probably tell you she should be better than that.
that
But
don't mean she's going to shoot 500 free throws tomorrow.
yeah,
But,
I mean, and again, like Katie's the one that would tell you that she should be better than that. But honestly,
All right, I want to hear
think
some
that's
compliments,
bad, and
boys.
she's
Let's go.
exactly the person we would want at the line if we had to choose.
yeah, I couldn't agree.
Talking about the percentage of this shooter and how good she is.
92%.
Silence.
First one spins around and out.
Not on that one.
It's our fault.
Not on that one. And it must be her next free throw where we have that call.
30 seconds left.
So we'll watch the
Washington
last
with the
30
ball.
seconds.
McGinnis, Scrivener, defended by Engel. Back to McGinnis, into the corner to Duncan. Her three is up, no good. Rebound, controlled by Raquel Frakes. Gets it to Katie. She is going to be immediately fouled. Now you have no choice if you're Washington. And so Katie Krupp will go to the
There's
free
my
throw line.
winged 1-and-1 again.
So how are you going to do a 1-on-1 on the spot now? Good.
Shoulder width, straight out.
So yeah, just to clarify, and this actually happened on the last IPR, so I'm sure it can help someone else out. There's two ways to indicate a 1-and-1. On the spot and at the table, we go, like we're reporting number 11. And
Right.
then after we go to the free throw line, we go out to the side. So I'm seeing officials that are doing out on the side on the spot, right? So I just wanted to make that distinction between the two types of presentation with the 1-on-1 signal.
Yep. And then I like on the second shot, you're holding just one out. And that's just so everybody knows what's remaining.
I'm not saying anything now.
Washington got a good shot. Washington got the shot.
Yeah.
Almost got the rebound, so I just was in shock. They're going down the court down one with a chance to go up 1 or 2. So hopefully Katie can knock in 2
First one is good.
to make it a truly one.
Now watch number
Then
10
we
on the
get
far
into
side.
Foul or defend situation if it gets under 10 seconds.
What do you got?
Absolutely correct.
And she knew it. She just tossed the ball to the
We have
official.
a lane violation
Now,
called
did you come in
against
and kill that?
Potters.
Yeah. I was a trail
If it gets under 10
and
seconds.
didn't hear any other whistle.
Go up.
Okay, so you gave it a cadence whistle.
Katie can
Yep.
knock in
All right,
2
good, because this would be the C's
First one
primary.
is good.
to make it a truly one possession
Yeah.
game.
Then
Now-
we get into the interesting foul or
You can here's the rule: you can't leave the lane space once A1 has the ball, right?
Right. And you can't cross the 3-point line. And there's a lot of things that could have been the violation had somebody asked us to defend it here. She's behind black 5 when the shooter gets the ball.
defend situation if it gets under 10 seconds.
Yeah. That's a good call.
Absolutely correct.
We have a lane
Well, that's
violation
that's
called
a great
against
call
the
by you
Potters.
because that has to be called, especially this late, this critical moment of the game. So I would say that's a borderline crew saver, or at least a really, really good way to come in and kind of run the game there in that moment.
I was happy with it, and it was fun because
So it's a
if you were to listen to the commentators, they're a little confused right now. And then during a timeout, they come back and do a replay, and that's when they acknowledge the crew.
The officials are going to discuss.
All right, so we'll break it down to that spot. You tell me when.
Well, they were talking about it the whole timeout.
Okay. What's that? What, 11 seconds? Before or after this?
Play and see what happens.
So the old rule, right, is that you go for the 3 on the road and
No, this was after the timeout.
The ball was already administered seconds.
So there.
But the officials are going to discuss this with the scores table. I think they may have said the ball was administered when a Potter player was backing off.
Pause for a second.
I saw movement.
What's actually happening right here is they started the clock. So we're resetting the clock. So the guys are way off, but it's an interesting dialogue they're having.
Let's listen in.
And I wonder if we have a replay of that. Nobody's questioning the call.
No.
Nobody in the gym's questioning the call, but I missed it. I was looking down at my notes. This is very interesting, right?
Yeah, I think the call was Katie had the ball administered to her, and one of the Potters players backed off the free throw line at that point. So we're going to get a full timeout, though, from the Panthers. I mean, nobody's arguing, so good for the officials. They made the correct call.
Was that your insert?
Correct call. Here, you'll watch this replay. So they're going to say, yeah, and so that's what the call is. They're going to say the ball was already administered when Raquel backed off the line. So it's a lane violation in a different.
Katie knew it was a violation, too.
So your partner
looked like my partner was starting to indicate a defensive.
He got a little mixed up there. He definitely noticed something was wrong, but he indicated the wrong violation.
And then once he heard my whistle, he was like, okay.
Thanks, partner.
Yep.
Oh, good job.
And it's a lane violation that's a not typical lane violation, right? Usually.
All right, let's head to overtime.
That was a fun buzzer beater. That's one of the things I love about being on the court in the game, especially with tight games like this. I mean, this was that thing bounced around the rim and fell in at the buzzer and tied the game, and it's a championship game. It was fun to be a part of.
Go for the 3 on the road
take me through the last play that forces overtime. Inbounding team down 15 seconds left. What do you got?
Well, we're all on high alert. We've been talking during the timeouts. Looks like we've got a foul here. I'm not sure why Morton would foul there.
We'll take foul.
It took them into the bonus in case they needed it. They had a foul to give.
Yeah,
that's what that was all about. But I tell you, Paul, I love being on the court for these final few seconds. It's just one of the reasons I love officiating.
She gets it to McGinnis. McGinnis is going to drive. Maddie McGinnis, floater, no good. Rebound, eventually.
Loose ball.
It's going to be Allie Scrivener who knocks it in as time expires.
Buzzer as the ball's going through the net to tie the game in the championship game. What fun.
She was in a good position to just get the ball bounced to her right there. And
right?
Take a little 10-footer. All right, so we're going to extra innings. All right, you have a player control foul in lead. I really like your usage of the same hand. I don't see too many officials do that. I don't see too many officials are able to execute it and make it look good. I think you can make this look good if you could just lower your point and not make it so baseballish. Look like if you had a football or a baseball in your hand, you would have thrown it 40 yards.
Yeah, and I'm a softball player and a former baseball player, so that's where that comes from. But yeah, my mentor does that, and he's just so calm about it, and he just, boom. I wasn't quite as calm as I'd like to be, but that's where I'm learning it from.
I was making a comment on someone else with regards to the player control foul, and I said, don't do it with one hand, because I never really find anybody that make it look good. And I didn't love the one you did, but I think I could love how you do it with just a few adjustments. I actually think it's pretty fluid from your face to the hand, and then a little bit of momentum. Just want to see you turn the hips a little bit, maybe take a step, maybe activate your footwork a little bit, so it looks a little more athletic and less upper body-ish.
Right. That's one of the things I like about the feedback that you're giving, Paul, is that's a great word for it. It's athletic. I mean, we're out there with athletes on a court, and we are former players of the game, most of us. And I just think an athletic look is a good look.
Good aggressive play by Claire.
That's I think a good question for you, Paul, and we can address it either in this recording or you can point me other places. But I would love to have either a point by point or an overview of your pregame and your coach's huddle. I know you've covered it before, but it's buried in a lot of your content, and it was tough to find.
Well, it's really quick. It's not much of a spiel. You know, I'll always bring them in. Hey, ladies, doing today? Okay, I'll keep this real quick. White talks to white, blue talks to blue. If we talk to you, we're trying to help you. Besides that, respect each other, respect us, respect the game. Have fun.
Dude, I love that.
Thank you.
I mean, I didn't write it down, but somehow we need to record that and I need to have access to it.
You're going to have to re-listen to the podcast and take your own personal notes. Just kidding. I can send it to you.
Well, if we put it on the podcast, that's fine.
Yeah. So we'll walk through it again. And this is verbatim, and I usually copy and paste this. It's a quick hello. White talks. And I always say I'm going to keep this real quick, keep this real short, because that gets their attention too. They're happy that I'm keeping it real quick and that I just let them know that the meeting is going to be real quick. So they'll give me a little bit of extra ears and eyes for those 12 seconds. Ladies, white talks to white, blue talks to blue. If we talk to you, we're trying to help you. Besides that, respect each other, respect us, respect the game. Have fun.
I love it. I love it. Because that's like that's the overarching principles that everything else can fall underneath that.
Mm-hmm. Notice I didn't say partners, what do you have? Although in this COVID season, you didn't have that issue, but I'm never like, partners have anything to add? Because I thought I just covered everything, you know? So don't be that partner that's like, yeah, the out of bounds is the rectangular line all the way around. Shot clock is located above the basket, you know, like they're not listening to that, nor is it effective.
Right.
All right, so game two. Game one was a little light, so we had to dip into another game. And I want you to pick which plays you want to talk about from this game.
This was the very first game of the season and the first game that I watched on video. So it's also a game that said, you need to correct your posture. And that was one of the big takeaways for me out of this game. Let me pick up some notes here as well. I don't have the plays on top of my mind.
Oh, no worries. I'm just going right off your report.
Okay.
Let's see.
I had a roundhouse hit in here somewhere.
What does a roundhouse hit look like? Oh, okay. Over the top.
Way over. Right.
That's a lot of contact.
Right. But it was all about just making sure everybody in the gym saw me, but they know the signal. And I mentioned in my video feedback to you, speaking of the hit signal, there's a lot of motion going on there when you go to the table and you're reporting numbers. and you're reporting the foul, and then you report it. I mean, there's just a lot of hand movement. I think through practice, I can make that a bit more efficient.
Yeah, you know, I say one tip for the hit is to pop out the off arm, but when you do it, it looks like you're punching out the off arm. And I almost started thinking of your team control foul in that moment because it looks like a separate thing. I don't want the popping off of the off arm to look like its own mechanic. It should just be a good lead up right into the hit.
So how would you do it?
I mean, maybe a little bit more to the side. Notice how I'm turning my hand too, almost upside down. So you know, the thumb and the pointer are now facing down, or at least a little bit diagonal, so it's not as straight up. So that's going to help.
You're calling,
not a punch.
Put the numbers out.
Better. Yeah, maybe just a little more subtle.
A little more and subtle.
Yeah, like a little more subtle from the first one you presented. That punch straight up.
Right.
Just a little bit more subtle than that. You know, you're turning into it. Just don't make it look like a punch is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, let's see what we want. Team control foul 1540. That's the one I want. That's the one I want.
See how easy it is to go to the slider number?
Yeah. Yeah. $1540 team control foul here from lead. Got a drive to the basket. Okay, so you called off the ball. Was the post player kind of boxing her out on that drive?
Yeah, I had 34 kind of doing one of these things to keep her defender from becoming a secondary defender.
So she's gating her or almost holding her with the arms out. You got to drop the gate. The gate's got to be closed. So 34 here is gonna, okay, you see her setting up, she's wrapping. All right, definitely does a little bit of a pull.
To the right with her.
Yeah, and she reaches all the way behind the back. So did it affect the play? Probably caused the defender to not really make a legit play on the ball.
It opened a lane for sure. Yeah.
And you kind of picked that up as she was reaching for it. And then this way the drive happened, she did it a little bit more and it kind of seemed obvious at that point.
I'm looking forward to losing the masks next year. I sure can.
Yeah. Out of our control, though, right?
Yeah. How was it in New York?
Reffing or with the mask?
With the masks. Did you guys ref with masks?
On and off. Some games required it, some games didn't. All the high school games, yes, I had a mask on. The college games, I didn't really. There was a few of them that required it, but besides that, no. But I'm not a complainer, so you won't hear me complaining about the mask. I was happy to be on the court earning a paycheck.
Amen to that.
Yeah. All right, let's go to this illegal screen. We have to make sure, even though the screen is ugly, doesn't mean it's illegal. Ugly doesn't mean illegal. This play features, I don't know, in my opinion, insignificant contact. I see what 5 did there. Did you call that little shoulder nudge?
Shoulder, knee, yeah, just to lean into the path of the defender that was trying to stay with her person.
After watching it, do you like it? Should you have left it alone, or do you think it's illegal contact?
You know, one of the things again, a slower whistle, I would have been able to determine whether or not it actually had an effect on the play. And looking at this, I don't think it did. I mean, the ball handler comes through and it's not like it took her to the basket, right? It didn't clear a lane for her to the basket. So could have passed on that one.
Also notice the contact is to the outside shoulder. So you're not as connected to that right shoulder as you would be to the left, at least from this position. So you're almost kind of stacked to what the contact is actually doing. And I know it's a little confusing when players do things that might be illegal on another play. For instance, a screen that's too wide, right? It's not technically a legal screen, but what's going to make it illegal is illegal contact. Besides that, it's just a screen. It's just a bad screen or poor technique on the screen. Doesn't make it illegal contact. So I think you hit the nail on the head when you said if I was a little bit more patient on this play, I would be able to see what the contact did. And that's most important, the fact that we let these plays absorb and then process them. We don't just react on that initial contact. So it has no effect really on the play. If you don't blow the whistle, the play is going to look normal and nothing's going to look. Remember the timeout. This is a double foul signal in high school, and this is a timeout signal in pro.
Yeah.
So let's just go with the open hand.
Yeah. And I'm not confused by the pro because I don't watch a lot of NBA. Just had seen that a lot. And then somewhere along the season in an association meeting that was specified. And so mid-season, I made that correction, and I think I've got that one down.
Good. I mean, you're not the first one to put 2 double fists out for a timeout.
I bet. I do try to be particular with calling it a 60-second timeout, and there are still a lot of people that call it a full timeout, but that gets a little
verbally to the table. You say 60-second timeout.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm guilty of full timeout.
It's not in the book, Paul.
Got you. I'll make that adjustment. Coach White, 60-second timeout. You could start that clock. Thank you.
Right. Don't call it a third. I don't call it a half timeout.
Fair point. Now it's all making sense.
Yep.
Give him a half a T.
He can put one butt cheek on the bench.
All right, so you don't have them in front of you, so I'm just picking.
I have the times and my notes about it, but I don't have what the play was.
36, 32. All right, let's look at these last two.
What was it? 28-18.
Out of bounds mechanic where we talked about using the same hand to stop the clock as you do to point the new direction. When we don't, we look like runway engineers or traffic cops because our hands are just moving up and down. So stop the clock with the right, point with the right. Stop the clock with the left, point with the left. The only time I like to cross that up is if it's a foul call. Then we have a little bit more, I think, another option to present another hand because it's a foul call. So let's say if it's a player control, you're using the other arm as just a way of maybe generating momentum. It's not as black and white as an out of bounds. Out of bounds, we're not going to play with that one. We're just staying same hand with the stopping and the pointing.
Yeah. And so just as I worked on my 3-point signal, making sure my signal is to the back court side, center court side, trying to get my violation signal, the hand that's going in the direction that the ball's going to be going. And that's a lot of mental processing.
It is. And here's a tip for when you do make a mistake. Let's say we're on the lead and the play is going to stay this way, but we accidentally or erroneously stop the clock with our right hand. Instead of just pointing with the left, and you can point with the left and it's fine. I like to just stay with the same hand. So I'll literally just turn my hips a little bit and my shoulders and just point while still looking at the play. It's a way to kind of sacrifice maybe stopping the clock with the wrong hand and staying with the same hand instead of switching and still making it look good and professional. Just turn to the hip. But when we don't turn our hips, now we're just pointing across our body, and that looks really lazy to me.
Right.
Speaking of 3-point mechanics, you have one coming up here.
About to get the Y signal. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, have you always done your make with the 3 fingers?
I don't think I'm conscious about it. It's however I'm feeling in the moment, but now I do like I don't know why the 3 fingers come up on the shot, but then going to the actual field goal signal on the make.
Just make it shoulder width. Make sure it's not too narrow.
Right.
As it looked
I'm
like.
trying to stay in the camera view, but yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that, for having camera consideration. All right, so open hands, palms facing each other, holding it an extra second. So you got to hit
this one. You shot me a screenshot of the closed look, and there were a lot of bodies right there. If I go too far down, I'm going to get blocked. If I go to my right, I'm going to get blocked. I felt like I had a decent view of it. I'm not sure where you would rather me be here. 33 has got her arm right across her on the shot.
33.
Yeah.
Okay. Listen, I'm watching from my couch. You're there at the game. So I'm glad that we're able, I'm not 100% on all of my feedback. I'm not, so let's
I
slow this
appreciate
one
that.
down.
And I'm not trying to challenge. I'm just
Not at
wondering
all.
if there is a better position here that you would recommend.
It's tough. It's tough. There's not too much you can do differently there. It's just crowded. It's not a perfect science, right? You're not always going to have a clean look, and you're not always going to have the opportunity to make an adjustment in order to get a clean look. Sometimes we're just stacked. So that's kind of what I was just going off to. You have, look at black 10 is now kind of obstructing your view.
She's getting in my way.
And we have, 4 players in this very small area. So when plays kind of jam up like this, I just want to make sure that we're certain and we're not guessing. So you're saying you have that initial contact with 33. It definitely looks like a little contact there. Let's see how it plays out.
And I felt like we were in transition a bit, but I was a little high for C. I just hadn't gotten quite in position, but it actually, I think, helped me see the call. We're just getting there. Normally my C would be lower, but I'm just getting there.
Well, that's another thing too to take into consideration. When we're not in the correct position, we got to have a real patient whistle, and we got to be 1,000%. Taking that information into this moment, saying, all right, I'm supposed to be center here. I'm a little far back. I got to make sure I really see something, and I can't be scared to miss something here. I'm not just going to make something up because I'm guessing, right?
Yep.
See, the problem I have with this is maybe 33 is on her arm, but it also looks like maybe 2 defenders might have the ball at the same time.
And it was a bit of a forced shot, no doubt.
Well, that's another thing to take into consideration. If an offensive
I'm not quite sure what she was thinking.
If an offensive player takes a bad shot, if they get fouled and there's illegal contact, then that doesn't matter. But that's information that we're going to take into that play and make sure it's obvious, because we don't want to blow a foul for only 87% on a play that was a bad shot by A1.
Yep.
So maybe a little bit more hustle, get into position here, trying to get to that free throw line. Now, 33. See, again, I don't think we're 100%. It looks like 33 has arm and ball right here. And then the ball just comes loose. So I'm not even sure what that was. I'm not 100% either way. So if I'm, normally if I'm not 100, I just let it go. So again, it's not about getting this play right. It's about taking the information from this play,
right,
and applying
all the factors that we're processing in a call.
Yeah, and then we're going to apply it to a future play that's similar. At least we can kind of backtrack and take this information. So,
right,
we talked about having a little bit of a filter when we're not in position, right? When a player is in a crowded lane and there's multiple defenders, there's 3 defenders tightly guarding her. So we got to make sure there's real legal contact there, because the defense is at an advantage here. So we don't want to stop their advantage with something cheap.
Right. Or bail out a out of control offensive player.
There it is.
You don't have an in-house producer with you?
Yeah, my daughter. Got Lexi D on the boards today.
Awesome.
I know we have a few minutes left. We looked at a lot of plays. Is there any other questions that you might have about the game, refereeing in general, moving forward?
You know, I just, one of my struggles, Paul, is just the variant of opinions that are in officiating, and people that I look up to, people that I admire, people that are much more seasoned than I am, and you know, they have very strong opinions, and they're sometimes counter opinions to one another. And then, you know, I'm not trying to be critical. It's just that, you know, I'll watch them do a game and I'll be like, well, where was the contact there? And I'm not, again, I'm not trying to be critical. I'm just saying that it gets confusing for a younger official trying to sort through it all and and based on my personality profile, I want to do it right. And I also mentioned to you that one of my goals is to build my professionalism in officiating. And so trying to sort through all that is one of the bigger challenges in me coming to the court with confidence and being okay with maybe not doing it exactly like some of my senior officials think I should be doing it because there's differing opinions. It gets kind of messy in my head. Wonders you might be able to speak into that.
You're feeling what thousands and thousands of officials feel before you as you're still trying to learn the system. You look up to other people and you trust and respect, you know, their opinion. The problem is you can't have too many voices, because if you have too many voices and these voices are opposing voices, then you're right, it's going to crowd your head. Your head's going to feel like it's, what do I, you know, whose opinion do I listen to? Right? I'm still learning. I'm not 100% what is correct here. So I'm leaning on other people. You lean on person number one and number two, but now they're have difference of opinion. So it's like, who do you trust? Who do you listen to? That's why I'm happy we connected. So there's any, you know, issues with these conversations you're having, I'm happy to kind of filter out what you should take away and what you shouldn't. This gets back to opinions, and I know we mentioned it before. That's why I don't try to have too many strong opinions. So what I would do now, how many voices are in your head? Are you speaking about when you go to like board meetings, or do you have literally like 5 or 6 people that you lean on? How many voices are you listening to?
I would say that I have 3 or 4 key mentor voices, and they're usually pretty consistent, at least in their philosophy, not necessarily in their real-time play calling.
That's another issue, though. That's another issue.
Right.
Is taking advice
Right.
from people that don't do it themselves on the court. And I've been tripped up by that a lot, where I'm looking up to a person, then I go watch them and I'm like, wait a second. We just had a whole conversation about the right way to do something, and you're not exhibiting any of this right now in person.
Yeah. And it's really hard because you know, when you're in the game, it's different, and they are on the court seeing things that I can't see from the stands. I get all that, you know, but there's just that edge of conflict sometimes. But then every time you go to a game, especially if you're working with a partner that you're either new to or that you haven't worked with a lot, and especially if they're strongly opinionated, which a lot of quote unquote confident officials are, it's another opinion that you want to work well in that game together and roll with it. And my personality is one that just kind of, in a sense, says, okay, we'll roll with your way of doing it. But I want to work on that. And that's something that you mentioned in my IPR, and without being obstinate or commandeering or anything like that, but to be a good partner, to come in with that mindset of, you know, being the R, even if you're not the R, and coming into a situation and making sure we all know when the bonus is in, and the various key points of the game, and bringing my confidence to the play or to the court. I really appreciate you talking about that. But so I've got those three or four primary mentor voices, and then everybody that I work with has an opinion too.
Yeah, I hear you. So I would try to block out as many of those as possible, to be honest with you. That's why I don't even play share anymore. I don't send my plays out to anybody anymore. My buddy today, who I just had a game with the other day, sent me a play, and you know, normally a few years ago, I might send it to one or two, of my close friends. I don't need that now. I know I got the play wrong. I know what I need, the adjustments that I need to make. So eventually I want you to get to the point where you don't have any voices, and that's going to take some time. But year by year, we should be tuning out. Like, I don't know, 4 officiating mentors is too many for me. Not to say you can't have 4 people that help you and that you bond and build with,
Right.
but I only think there should be kind of one coach that you bounce everything off of.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I have 2 now. One of them's you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
And then I do have one in our association that I really look up to. Others are, key assigners. When they say something like E.F. Hutton, the old commercial, you probably ought to listen.
Yeah.
That's what there's like a next tier voice that I do pay attention to because what they think matters as I try to move up the ranks.
I don't do any opinion battling anymore. I don't do any debating. I just respect what people say, and I may disagree with it, and I just humbly and respectfully don't even share. Right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying I don't want to collaborate and build and talk about plays. That part is great. But there's just too much opposition with like play sharing and different refs giving their opinions, and it winds up dividing us and not unifying.
Yeah, the thing that I love about it still at the stage I'm at when I'm with a partner that I trust is dialoguing about the play to learn.
Yeah.
Not to debate who's right and who's wrong, but to really learn from the play. Both of us, did we make the right call? How could we have done it better? What happened in this situation? What did you see? That kind of post-game dialogue I learn a lot from, but I stay away like you from any kind of positioning.
Yeah. Good. Well, this was a lot of fun, Ken. I had a great experience with you both before and after the report. You definitely added a great layer and piece to the Crown Refs platform. So appreciate you and look forward to helping you along the way. Is there anything else you want to say to the dedicated audience of basketball officials listening?
Paul, I just want to tell you how much fun this was, the IPR experience. I still love officiating. I know I'm young in the craft. I've got a lot to learn, but building a foundation with a couple solid mentors here, and then you just added a whole depth of reflection, of insights, and I'll go away from the IPR. Crown Refs in general has been there are just a couple resources out there on the internet right now that I really love, and Crown Refs was the first and probably as extensive as any. And I appreciate all the work that you've put into it, all the research, all the time and effort, and just want to kind of hold your arms up, man, and tell you how much I appreciate you.
Hold them up. Pull them.
That's right.
Pull them up. Lift them up. Hey, here's what I want to say. The Ken Stewart podcast will be premiering on Crown Refs TV this summer.
I'll answer that call. Just let me know when.
All right, because like I said, you know a lot of the content better than me, so I really appreciate you, and look forward to doing it again with you soon.
That sounds great, man.
Thank you for listening to the Crown Refs podcast. Serve the game.